When I was 3, my family lived in Carmel, California. Our mother was casting astrological charts on the side for extra money. She became very good friends with a high Wiccan priestess who was astonished at how accurate her readings were, so she tried everything to get Mum to join. It kind of intrigued Mum, but she graciously declined because she was on a very different path. This high priestess had so much admiration and faith in my mother that she gave her a very old book of spells, a grimoire. Mum said that you couldn't just go out and buy this book. It was only in the archives in England, and an endorsement was required to receive it. The front of the book had white spells and positive incantations, but the back of the book had dark spells, summoning dark forces to do your bidding. She also gave her an actual cat's eye ring and a bat's heart that my sister Charity wore on a chain around her neck. Weird. Mum later moved us to Pacific Grove. She found a house through a friend of a friend, and it was a deal she just could not refuse. It was a 3-level house with an attic, and the price was perfect. Nothing down, just start paying the mortgage and the house was hers. Mum was so excited. This was the first house that she had ever owned, so she didn't even question why it was so cheap, or why such a great deal. She just marked it off as being a blessing. It was a tall split-level house with a bedroom for Mum on the bottom floor, and then the kitchen and living room, and above that were 2 bedrooms, one for my brother, and the other one was for my eldest sister Linda, my sister Melanie and myself, and then there was the attic where my other 2 sisters Charity and Rachel stayed. I have no memory of these events, so after separately interviewing 3 of my siblings, and what I was told by my mother and eldest sister before they passed, this is what they recalled. Things were all right for the first few weeks, but then everyone in the house started experiencing signs of a poltergeist, things being thrown, and terrifying visits in their bedrooms. My brother had the bedroom with the door to the attic in it. He said that he didn't know why, but the attic was always 60 degrees, even that hot summer. He said that one night, the family cat was sleeping on his bed, and he was about to fall asleep when the cat jumped up and arched its back and hissed. He looked in the direction the cat was looking, and down the steps from the top was a dark floating blob. He said that he ran downstairs and it followed him. Our mother loved hanging pictures on staircases and in halls, and he said that as the thing moved swiftly down the staircase, the pictures flew off the walls and crashed to the floor. He then ran downstairs to our mother's room, where I was sleeping with her, and woke her up. She told him to see himself in a white light and to say the universal word for God, which is Om. He said that he laid on the floor next to Mum's bed and didn't sleep a wink that night. He told me that he was sitting in the living room and a cat figurine jumped off the mantel and hit him hard in the head, and things were being tossed all the time. Everyone thought that there was something off with our sister Charity, with whom stayed in the attic with Rachel. Charity started isolating herself from everyone and wanted to be alone with her many mice. She would leave the house and talk to the trees, and she felt like the leaves were answering her. When walking to school, she never wanted to make that long walk on that country road with her siblings, but more preferred to walk alone. She told me that a lot of the time in that house was as if her memories were shrouded by fog, like she was there but wasn't at the same time. Charity said that she wished I hadn't asked her, because she had forgotten things about that house. She said that it might have been possible, at times, that something was near her, wanting her to be alone. She was only 12. Our mother sold wigs at the time. It went quite well in the 60s. She would hold wig parties at the house, and this was the time Charity would feel the closest to our mother. Charity would style the wigs for her, and when they were sold, she was so proud. It was their thing together. Well, at one of these parties, Charity was upstairs in the attic with her mice. She took very good care of them. She took one of them out and set him on the table, and she turned around to get something out of the cage, when only a moment later, she heard screams coming from the living room 2 flights down. She said that Mum was mad and screaming for her to come downstairs, and when she did, there was her mouse, the one that was upstairs. She knew there wasn't enough time for him to get down 2 flights. He was right in front of her. Later, she had one of her mice and her babies in a secure locked cage with no possible way in or out, and a wild mouse got in and killed the baby mice and the mother. She loved them so much, she knew it was whatever was in that house doing this. She said that she too saw pictures fly off the walls, one even smashing on her head. She wanted to make it go away, so she said that she got our mother's book, the one with the spells. But after trying to find something that would rid this thing, she said that it was too confusing, so she put it back. Charity said that she was getting more irritated with the family and sharing a room with Rachel, and she wanted to have a space of her own, so she went downstairs into the unfinished part of the basement and put her bed between the walls with her mice. She told me that she didn't last too long down there, because she saw things that frightened her. She went on to describe that there were shadows, light-colored shadows, taunting her, so she ran upstairs and slept on the couch. All of these events, plus some of her own, our mother got a priest to come and exorcise the house. He was in there for a while as my family stayed outside. But when he came out, he looked pale and told our mother to move immediately. He said that it's not going to leave and that she should sell the house. I stayed outside with my sister, but when they went inside the house to grab our things, they said that it was right out of a movie. Things were broken and tossed, and as we were going down the hall, pictures were flying off the walls at us. We took only our clothes and went to a motel. We soon moved into an apartment and sent for our things. My mother found out that originally the house belonged to a church, and 2 priests lived and had their offices there, but they were both found dead in the attic with their throats slashed. There were demonic drawings on the wall in the priest's blood, and the killings were blamed on a cult. Mum said that that place was sold 5 times in 2 years before we got it. Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, consider subscribing. And if you have a story you'd like me to narrate, contact me on Twitter or post it in my subreddit, which are in the description below.